Welcome back to Outside View Scandals. Today we dive into one of the most infamous trials in history, the trial and execution of Joan of Arc. A young woman, a hero, a saint. Well, that depends on who you ask. But in 1431, to the English and their allies, she was something far less flattering, a heretic. Joan of Arc, a mere teenager, managed to rally the French against the English during the 100 Years' War. And let's be honest, nobody likes losing, especially when it's to a peasant girl claiming divine visions. So what did the English and their allies do? They did what any self-respecting occupying power would: capture her, throw her in jail, and put her on trial. But not just any trial. No, this one was special. They didn't charge her with being a thorn in their side. Instead, they framed her as a heretic and a witch. Because, of course, hearing voices of saints and leading armies must be the work of the devil, right? The trial took place in Rouen under the watchful eyes of the English and the Burgundian factions. Oh, the Burgundians, the French, but not quite. They were aligned with the English and had their own reasons for wanting Joan out of the picture. But let's not get distracted by French internal politics. Back to the trial. Joan was interrogated by over 60 men. 60. And not just any men. These were learned scholars, theologians, and clergy. Because what better way to ensure justice than to have 60 well-educated men question a 19-year-old girl? No. Joan was no fool. She held her ground, refused to betray her visions, and stuck to her belief that she was on a divine mission. But here's the kicker. Her trial wasn't about finding the truth. No, it was just about justifying her death. The English needed to discredit her, and what better way than to paint her as a heretic. They even accused her of wearing men's clothing. Yeah, you heard that one right. Wearing armor to protect herself on the battlefield was apparently one of her greatest crimes. Never mind the fact that she was leading soldiers into battle against England. No, the real issue was her fashion sense. But fashion faux pas aside, the charges were serious. She was accused of rejecting the authority of the church, and worse, listening to voices that weren't properly authorized by, well, the right voices. As you might have guessed, the verdict was already decided before the trial even started. Joan was found guilty of heresy. Shocking, right? They sentenced her to death, and on May 30th in 1431, she was burned at the stake. A fiery end for someone accused of working with fire and brimstone, I suppose. But here's the irony. Burning her didn't exactly erase her from history. If anything, it immortalized her. In 1456, a posthumous trial cleared her name because, better late than never. She went from condemned heretic to a symbol of French resistance, eventually becoming a saint in 1920. Quite the career shift, wouldn't you say? The trial of Joan of Arc was a politically motivated act, orchestrated by the English and the Burgundians to undermine her influence and, by extension, the French cause. Her execution was not about theology or piety, it was about power and politics. Joan was a threat, not because of her supposed heresy, but because of what she represented: hope for the French. And hope, well, that's a dangerous thing in times of war. The English and Burgundians needed to snuff it out, and what better way than through a public fiery spectacle? But here's the thing. By burning her, they didn't exactly extinguish her legacy. As I said, they ignited it. The irony is that Joan's death did more for the French cause than her life ever could. She became a martyr, a symbol, and as I said, eventually a saint. In the end, the trial was supposed to discredit her, and it only cemented her place in history. And the English? Well, they didn't fare so well in the long run. France eventually won the war. And Joan? Well, she wants something far greater, and I called it before, but I do it again, it's immortality. That's not a bad outcome for a peasant girl from Domremy, is it? So thanks for watching Outside View Scandals, where we dig into the dirt of history's greatest controversies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join us the next time for more scandalous tales from the past. And the next video is right here in the end screen.